Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this beautiful boubou dress, and if this is something you would like to learn, then let's get right into the video. So I already have my fabric on fold. I folded both the front and the back together and I pinned them together because the only difference between the front and back is the neckline. So that's the folded part right there. So from the folded part, I'm going to be marking the length of the nape of my neck to where I want my sleeve to stop. And at first I marked 18 inches, but then I decided to go with 20 inches. Then I'm going to be coming down from that 20 inches point. I'll come down by 1.5 inch, which is for my shoulder slope. Then for the neckline, I'm marking 3 inches width for the neckline. For the back neck depth, I'm marking 1.5 inches. And from the front neck depth, I'm marking 6.5 inches. The front is going to have a V-neck. So I'm connecting the 6.5 for the front to the neck width. Then I'm going to be connecting my width to my shoulder slope, my 1.5 inches shoulder slope. And then from the shoulder slope, I'm going to be coming down by 10 inches, and this will be my sleeve opening. So I'm just marking that into a straight line. And because this is a boubou, I'm just going to be dividing the widest part of my client's measurement, which is her hip, divided by 4. Then I'm adding 4 inches extra. So our hip is 48 divided by 4, that's 12. Then plus 4 inch. This 4 inch includes ease and my seam allowance. I'm just going to be marking 16 inches all through, straight down to the length of my boubou, and I'm rolling it into a straight line. And then when I get to the point of the sleeve opening, I'm going to be making a slight curve right here. And that's just that for the marking. And here I'm just confirming the length of my boubou. So I'll be cutting the back neckline first. Please don't make the mistake of cutting the front neckline on both the front and the back. Remember, we folded both front and back. So you cut your back neckline first, then you remove one of it, and then you cut your front neckline for the other piece. So I'm just cutting out everything I've marked earlier. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, I share sewing videos and sewing tutorials here, so please do well to subscribe. Thank you. So I'm going to be separating the front piece from the back piece, and now I can cut out my front neckline, which is my V neckline. So now we have our front and our back piece. I'm going to be using a facing to turn both the front and the back neckline of this boubou. So what I have there is a piece of fabric. I folded it into 2. This is my front piece. I'm going to fold in my front piece into 2 as well. I'm going to be placing my front piece on this piece of fabric, and I'll make sure that the folded part matches. I'm going to pin that down to be sure. Then I'm going to be cutting exactly what I have on my neckline and exactly what I have on my shoulder. So because I want my facing to be about 2.5 inches, after cutting this out, I'm going to be removing my front piece, and I'm going to be trimming my facing to my desired measurement, which is 2.5 inches. So I just did that, and I'll be cutting it out. So here I have my facing for the front piece, and you can attach an interfacing of your choice to your facing in order to give you more structure. I didn't use any interfacing for this facing because Kampala, this fabric, already has structure. So here is the back piece. I'm making an opening right there so that the head of my client will be able to enter the dress properly. I'm going to be cutting a facing for the back neckline as well. So following the same procedure I did for the front, I folded my facing into two as well, and my back fabric into two, back piece, sorry, into two, making sure that the folded parts aligned. And I'm going to be cutting out exactly what I have on my neckline and part of what I have on my shoulder line. Now I'm going to be removing my pins and trimming out my facing. Remember that the back has a back opening, so you shouldn't cut your facing too short for the back. As you can see, my facing for the back is quite long. It's longer than what I have for the front, so I'm just cutting it out as well. Then here is my bridal satin fabric. Here I have just half yard of bridal satin, which is 18 inches by 60 inches. So I'm going to be using the entire 18 inches for the width of that design I have in the front. So I'm just trimming out the border, and my length will be about 16 inches. So I'm marking that right there. I'm going to be cutting it out, making sure I have a straight line. So 18, because it's on fold, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So I'm just marking my 9 to ensure I have exactly 18, because I think the fabric is slightly more than 18 inches. So I'm just ensuring I have 18 inches by 16 inches. Here I'm just reconfirming. So for if you notice, there is a cut at the bottom part, so I'm just going to be coming up at this open part by 5 inches or 5.5 inches depending on your preference, and I'm going to be connecting it to the middle just like this. Remember, it's on fold. Then I'll be cutting it out, and this will give you the shape you have at the bottom of that design. So I'm going to add hairstay interfacing to this bridal satin. I'm going to give it a good press, and I'm going to be folding it round by 0.5 inches. You'll see that later. So I'm going to be placing my facing against my fabric, right sides facing each other. I'm going to be sewing down my neckline by 0.5 inches. After that, I'll be notching my neckline seam, and I'll be trimming out the same as well so that my neckline can lay flat. So I'm just giving tiny notches around the v-neck so it can lay flat when I turn it over. So you see what we have. It is nice and flat. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the back neckline. The only difference is I did not have a opening on my facing yet. I'm going to be opening it up after I stitch down. So here is what I did. I just pinned my facing over my back piece, right sides facing each other. Now I'm going to be flipping it over to where I have the slits here, so I can sew around the slits properly. I'm going to be sewing 0.5 inches around my neckline, but around my slits I'll be sewing 0.25 inch. This is because I don't want the slits to be too wide. You can decide to stick to 0.5 if you want. Then I have an elastic, which will be my loop, button loop. I have a small elastic, it's about 3 inches. I'm going to be placing it between my facing and my back piece, just like that, on one side of it, immediately after the neckline. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So after stitching, I'm going to be opening the slits of my facing, and I'm going to be notching it very close to the seam line, but not close enough to rip my fabric or ruin my stitches, if you get what I mean. So I'm trimming out excess so that my neckline will lay very flat, and I'm notching the neckline as well. So I'm going to be turning this to the right side, and as you can see, I have my button loop there. So I'm going to be fixing a button later with my needle and thread on the other side. Yes, so this is what we have now. So I already have a crease on my front piece, which is the middle. So I also made a crease on this bridal satin to mark the middle as well. I interfaced it with Estee and I folded 0.5 inches round. So I'm going to be placing it like this first and stitch down that upper part of the bridal satin very close as possible to where my neckline starts by 0.5 inch. Then afterwards I'll be flipping it over and I'm going to be stitching on my seam allowances that I folded. So after doing that, please stitch as close as possible to the edge of the bridal satin so you have a very clean finish. So here is what I'll be using for my sleeve. I have 3 inches. I folded 0.5 inch on both sides and I'm going to be using this to turn the sleeve. So after joining my shoulder line together, this is what I have. So I'm going to be placing this piece of bridal satin against the wrong side of my Kampala fabric and I'm going to be turning it. Just watch what I'm doing in the video. So the right side of the bridal satin facing the wrong side of my fabric, I'm going to be stitching down by 0.5 inch. Then afterwards I'll be flipping over the bridal satin and I'm going to be top stitching, and this is what I have. Please remember to trim down the seam allowance before top stitching. So I'm going to be joining my sides now with my 1 inch seam allowance and I'm going to be hemming the bottom part of my boubou, and this is the end result, guys. This boubou, the fabric combination, everything is so beautiful. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.